This controller's main feature set isn't even for PC, and still it's made everything else that I've used before it obsolete and just incomparable. Good afternoon and welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. My normal cheery disposition has been replaced with pure envy because this controller has ruined me, okay, genuinely, and I'm never going to be the same until I probably get one of these now, because I thought the PDP had done that. I thought I was over it. I thought, you know, high-end aftermarket controllers, I was acclimatized, I was fine. And then I used the Turtle Beach. Out of the box, I didn't actually like it because the D-pad is not to my personal taste. Some people actually say it's better than the Xbox One. It's very much similar to the Xbox One because it's a licensed Xbox controller. But out of the box, I was actually kind of didn't like it. They've surfaced some of the buttons over here and it was detracting from the feel of the product. I just took it out and I was like, not for me. Put it to the side, went along with the PDP, used that, did the review, etc. Great, having a fantastic time. Forza 5 though, Horizon. Cool new game, right? Great graphics. Got it with a nice setting running on my PC at 70 FPS average, looking crisp and clear and oh so fantastic. And for racing games, keyboards kind of suck because arrow key is 100% steering. There's no like fine adjustments you can make to the accelerator, etc. because you don't have a trigger on that. So I was like, well, let me go and sit down and jam Forza with this controller. And the result of that is, like I said, it has ruined me. It has genuinely ruined me because of how good the experience has been. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's just talk about the physical layout of the controller. So it's an Xbox controller. It's a licensed product. It's going to look a lot like an Xbox. The stalks and the analogs are absolutely fantastic. They also click in quite nicely. Quite a bit of audio from that, so you're going to know if you do that. R1 and L1 though, or the LB and RB, very, very quiet. Similarly for the triggers, pretty quiet operation, but decent snapback. There's a decent amount of snapback in that. The travel itself though is really nice and smooth and easily definable and adjustable. To go to half became quite natural as I was busy playing it through Forza. Then on the underside, two spare buttons as well, programmable, and one of them is then a pro aim mode, which then automatically slows down your sensitivity when you hold it in when you're in an ADS. When you tap it and then your ADS, it will then slow down that movement. So if you're trying to make finer shots, it will help you do that, which is a nice little touch for those of us playing FPS on the console. The D-pad on the default setup is about the worst for me. I didn't like the way it felt. It has loosened up a little bit now that I've been using the controller for some time. But out of box, it was actually kind of one of the reasons I put it down and just sort of ignored it, was because I didn't particularly like the feel of the texturing. I thought that was going to be annoying, and the D-pad is quite important to me. I do use it for various things depending on game, so it is important to have. I'm not a full analog boy, but the analog sticks themselves are buttery smooth. The response, dead zone, everything is perfect. I actually didn't need to change anything. You can do so in game if you need to, because there's no accompanying software for this on PC.
You don't really wanna know me, hanging in the corner with a nose bleed, high on whatever they sold me, that's the old me, yeah. 6 years later trying to find me, still trying to figure out the...
On the back, there is also a headphone jack pass-through, and you can connect any 3.5mm headphone jack to that. It can also be a combination jack, so if you've got a headset with 3-in-1 for your microphone and your stereo, then you will be able to connect that over there pretty seamlessly. And that's really the parting piece of this controller. That's where this little control board that they've put in the top over here starts to make an appearance. All right, so on the top left, you'll notice there's a volume slider for up and down. That's your overall volume, which is connected directly to your console. So your console's volume is then available on that button over there. Then next to that, you'll see an S, okay, with a nice like a radial around it. This only works on console once again, only for the Xbox, but that is your superhuman hearing mode. And it genuinely works. It's a Turtle Beach thing that actually mics up certain audio and sounds in the stereo split to make them more obvious, and it actually produces results. I actually did this with a bunch of top gamers and stuff and gave it to them and let them test out superhuman hearing, and basically because they could hear the oaks coming from like 5 meters away extra, it gave them more reaction time, and people like got slapped, basically, long and the short of it. Next to that, you'll see a mode, and that's one of the cooler buttons over there, because you can switch between the controller and the Pro Aim mode. And then when it's on the controller mode, that's when you can then map these two buttons on the bottom of the controller. Then there are 4 different mapping settings you can use, because there's a little dial in the middle, and each one of those is its own profile. So you can have 4 stored sets of macros. So if you're in a fighting game, then you can have your kick and your punch, or your double punch or double kick on those buttons to make it just a little bit easier for you. Or if you're in like a shooter, you could have like a slide and crouch, or a slide and a jump on that key. For instance, for like Apex, where you're doing a lot of that, you could set that up to be on one button. It can also be like a prone and an aim button, like whatever you want. You can feasibly program it onto those, and then there are 4 different layers for that. Then next to that, you'll see a mode select button, or the select button, which is then to select between those various modes. Then on the other side of that, you'll see a mic mute button, which is obviously nice to have if you just want to quickly mute because there's noise in the background or someone's coming to speak to you off to the side and you want to keep your conversation private. Then you're one button away. Then on the far side is your chat and game balance. That's for mixing between the chat coming through from the Xbox and then the game audio itself, so that you can balance those automatically. So you don't have to tell your friend, hey, your mic's rubbish, I can't hear you. You can just hit the button and then he'll be quite audible. Now on the top left, there's 2 extra little things over there, okay? And that's where these mode buttons really come into play. On the Xbox. On the PC, you can see it's only connecting between the sniper mode or between the normal controller mode, the Pro Aim, or the normal controller configuration. If you have it on the first one on the Xbox, it lets you listen back to your own microphone, so you can hear your audio and know what it sounds like going out into stream or into the game, etc. Really nice little touch. And then next to that is the equalizer that also has, once again, 4 built-in presets. They vary, but from what I've seen, the primary preset, the Turtle Beach primary preset, is the one to go for. So now let's talk about price and value. On the face of things, it didn't look like it was going to be all that great until I started using it, and then I learned about this little control board at the top. The rumble motors and the feedback that this creates is some of the best I've ever felt. It goes all the way into the triggers themselves. It's absolutely incredible. I thought, like I said, I was used to this sort of thing from other controllers. No, the way that this one works is so good. I could feel the tires losing traction. I could feel the car bouncing along the road, and I could make tuning adjustments with that. I was also playing with a mate who's a big Formula 1 fan, and he was explaining some of the mechanics of tire pressure and stuff to me, and I could feel the difference in the setup with the suspension and the tire pressure harder than if I went with a softer tire with the same suspension setup. It's kind of cool that the game actually makes that distinction, but the controller makes a distinction as well. And because of that, the feel and the quality of the drive and stuff, it just goes astronomically higher. Not having feedback at all, being basically like dead wheel compared to that, it's just not the way to play. It's just way better. And because of that responsiveness, I would say like you could almost like feasibly do like mini like baby entry level like sim racing even on this device, because of how accurate that feedback is. The way that it rumbles and stuff through, it almost feels like things are happening towards the front of the car versus the back of the car, based on like how this thing vibrates. It's kind of spooky in its own sense. And then you get the Turtle Beach sound equalizer audio processing engine built into the controller as well. So even if you have an older set or an average set of headphones, then you'll be able to use it directly from here and get all of that Turtle Beach audio for 1,200 Rand. They built in a sound card, effectively, a DAC or digital audio converter, into the remote, and then it's a full Xbox remote with some of the best feedback and comfort, etc. Like the way it sits in the hand, everything is absolutely perfect. I often find like if some racing games prefer to do shift up and shift down on the top here, I often find it quite difficult to do that. But look at fluid, easy, quiet. It's just a really, really, really nice experience. Anywho, that is all I have for you on the Turtle Beach Recon. This is up for giveaway right now on Evetech, so do look out for that. And I'm going to now go and cry in Spanish because I don't have one. And I'm sitting with this. It's just not comparable.
Speak quickly.
Bro, this guy's beard is doing a thing, bro. Check here. See?
Huh?
Jazz beard, but.
No, dude. I
Huh?
love it, dude.
This is what happens when you have too much FPS.